Hello and welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. We've got the math test today. Yes, it's a course in miracles after all. And, well, did no one tell you about the math test? The pop quiz? No? You're thinking, wait a minute, what? This is not school in the conventional sense, is it? Well, no, it's far from that. Here's the math test. You have to count to one. One. That's the word. That's our word today. One. That is the math test. That is the basic arithmetic. It is the calculus. It's the advanced calculus, the algebraic physics equations of this course, all of that. One. We have only count to one. All right, did you pass? So that's really only part joking. My hope here today is that this hits home, that you have only to count to one. And one, by the way, equals one. How obvious, right? It does not equal 8 billion, and it does not equal 2 or 7 or 25 or whatever number. It's one. Truth is one. Reality is one. One. There is only perfect oneness. So, okay, why are we spending so much time on this? Well, because we live our lives as though that weren't the case. We look out and we see 8 billion separate individual self-sustaining survival units, and those are simply the ones that we identify as our species, Homo sapiens sapiens, which of course we made up. I mean, really, we could have called ourselves anything, but there we are, human being. There appear to be 8 billion of us when we look out at this spinning ball of rock, and there are countless additional life forms, all of them apparently separate. Yet the math test tells us that 1 equals 1. So let's repeat to ourselves that we're not seeing things as they are. There is only perfect oneness. Yet when we identify as an individual, we look out and we see multiplicity. We see innumerable separate forms of life, all of them in their artificially selected component parts and locations and classifications and sub-classifications and further divisions and sub-classifications. It's very important what you're doing right now in watching this video and in studying and practicing A Course in Miracles, because as we roll on in our daily lives, we don't stop to think about this. And very rarely does the thought occur to us that, hey, wait a minute, things aren't as they appear to be. Yet here you are because you've had that thought and you've listened to it. So that bears repeating. All of these ideas bear repeating because they can make sense, can't they, in the abstract, in a form such as this, where we're taking 15 to 20 minutes or 36 minutes or however long these videos last. I never know when I turn on the camera. We're just taking some time out of our day, which is very important because our email is going to be there awaiting us when we're done. Our stack of bills is going to be there when we get done. There is a to-do list. Perhaps you have to go to work today or this evening, or turn on Zoom and get on a meeting with a client or something. I don't know. Wherever you appear to find yourself, we get carried away with life. So it's very important that we set some time aside to listen to the Holy Spirit. So thank you for doing that right now. You're in the text of A Course in Miracles, specifically chapter 13, section 8. We're told that the miracle of creation is that it is one forever. One. God extends himself. One. And yes, you are the extension of God. The Son of God, singular, is the extension of God. Again, singular. One. So that's what is. Let's talk about here in this world where we appear to be running around as an individual with individual needs, which appear to be separate from another individual's individual needs, and so on and so forth, until we find ourselves in a morass of global conflict, disease, pandemics, and warfare and stuff. And we have become so attenuated to it that we look out and say, oh, that's just life. Yet we know that it's not our real life. We all know this. How willing are we to accept truth just as it is? Well, that's a question that we all must answer for ourselves. Truth simply is, God is, and awaits our acceptance. So, what do we do while we appear to be here? Well, we offer the miracle to our brother, the miracle of true forgiveness, the miracle of love, in which we learn to see our brother as ourself. And we teach ourselves. Again, we're showing ourselves under the guidance of our inner teacher, who's part of our mind. We learn under the Holy Spirit's loving guidance that the separation never occurred. Your brother is you. Your brother is yourself. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Yes, your neighbor is yourself. Literally, one. So we learn to see this. And every time we offer the miracle to our brother, anytime we extend love, forgiveness to our brother, we're truly perceiving an aspect of the whole. Here's something that you may find very uplifting, I hope, and very helpful. Every part contains the whole. The whole is whole, it's total. Every apparently separate part contains the whole. Your brother, you. The miracle is our true perception of our oneness. So the more we offer it, the more we perceive our oneness, the more we see things as they really are, not the way that we've made them, the way that we've imagined them, because it is a wild and chaotic imagination that has made the world of bodies, of separate component parts, of division, sorrow, guilt, blame, warfare, hatred, and fear. We could choose right now to see things as they are. We could all choose this right now. So we won't know the totality of God, the wholeness of God, until we learn to see every aspect, all of our brothers, as the whole, as one. We won't wake up until we learn to see every aspect as the same one, every aspect as the whole, everyone as one with God. One. One equals one. Again, that's the pop quiz. You passed. So when this course insists, as it certainly does, insist that our forgiveness is either total, one, or it's not at all, 8 billion plus multiplicity, it means business on that. We cannot forgive almost everyone. That's not whole. It's not total. And it harms us anyway to hold grudges. Of course it does. Yet when we state to ourselves, whether it actually comes out of our mouth in what we call verbal form or not, makes absolutely no difference because, well, we've formulated the thought. When we deem some people to be fully worthy of our forgiveness, and others suck and they're scum and they're not. They're unworthy. In fact, they're worthy of our condemnation, hatred, and blame. When we reserve that kind of judgment for ourselves, it harms us. And we know that it harms us. So forgiveness is either total or it's not at all. So must you eventually forgive those who may have harmed you? Well, yes. Now, does this mean that you have to do it right now today, especially if you are simply not ready to do that? Well, no, it doesn't mean you have to do that right now today. What we're talking about is what will happen in order for us to awaken. So that begs the question for each and every one of us here on the path. Do you want the peace of God and nothing else? There is nothing else. Do you want the peace of God and nothing else? Are you willing to accept truth just as it is today? Now, you may answer, no, I'm not. Okay, so be it. What are you then, as a practical matter, willing to do today? What forgiveness lessons will you learn today? Because our lives present us with multiple opportunities. Remember, they appear to present us with multiplicity, multiple options for forgiveness of the Son of God. Anything, in fact, that is not wholly joyous, anything that is not wholly joyous is, in fact, an opportunity for forgiveness, and it is being presented to you on a silver platter as a gift, if you choose to see it that way. And I would invite you to. Anything not wholly joyous, anything that irks you, that annoys you, or that drives you insane with rage. Anytime you feel an inclination to lash out at your brother and judge, these that you reserve your special hatred for. I like to use politics as an example of the ego at play. It is that, is it not? Because we reserve judgment for the opposition party or somebody else that doesn't see things here in the dream the way we see them here in the dream. And they are most likely judging us the exact same way as wrong. And you can see how, from the standpoint of true forgiveness and awakening and truth and complete fiction, illusion, you can see how that's the ego at play. So I frequently use that as an example. It is simply one example. And we don't have to see it that way. This cannot be stressed enough. It can't possibly be stated enough. You have a choice in the present moment. So it may be that on the path, you must hear something thousands of times. Perhaps you've heard that you have the power of decision right now in the present moment before. Now, if you've tuned into these videos, of course you've heard it before. The Holy Spirit wants us to know that. You have the power of decision right now. You may have heard this thousands of times. Perhaps today is the day where the power of that really hits you. Who knows when the light is going to come on? Hence repetition on the spiritual path. And if you get sick of repetition on the spiritual path, they're all a series of repetition. We repeat ourselves. Why? As adult learners, we need this, do we not? Because this video is going to end, and however wonderful you may feel or inspired, there's going to be a forgiveness opportunity for you. Count on that. Will you notice it? Will you be aware of it? And then will you take that opportunity? There is one miracle. There is one reality. One reality. God. The only reality. There is no separation of any kind. We're invited, I mean, really, truly invited to let that sink in and take as much time as you need. That is what time is for. When we learn to see our brother as ourself, literally as ourself, we'll be released to knowledge. We'll have learned to perceive truly. From there, truth dawns of itself. That's awakening. So, do you want the peace of God and nothing else? Each of us can answer that question for ourselves. And, well, again, you may answer, no. All right. You'll hear the question again. Maybe not today, or maybe not in this lifetime, but you will. So, all right. Happily, A Course in Miracles does not involve a series of exams and pop quizzes, and the math test is one. That's the answer. In fact, that's the answer to everything. If this course were to have an essay, the answer would be one. That's the A grade right there, one. That's the answer. There is only perfect oneness. So, happily, this course is not designed and set up like our academic curricula in school, where we sit through many classes and suffer under the weight of an intense burden of homework, each professor assuming that theirs is the only class that we're taking. So we have hours of work to do. Yeah, that kind of thing. It may have been in the very distant past in this lifetime that you went through that. I don't know. But this is very, very different. All spirituality is, in fact, an unlearning, isn't it? It is. When it's called an unlearning, yeah, that's right. We're learning to see things as they are, so we're undoing our illusory perception, our false perception. It's just a mistake, it's an error. We're not evil, we're the Son of God. One with one. All right. So, with that, let's wrap up for today. If you have questions or comments, please feel welcome to leave them here. And thank you to all of you who have recently subscribed and joined us. If you have not, I invite you to do that. This is the prompt here in the corner of your screen. So when you click that arrow, you'll be invited to subscribe and join us. Please do that. Also, if you have subscribed and you'd like to be notified every time a new video drops, which is several times a week here, then just click that bell icon that governs your subscriptions. You could be notified if you wish. All right, so comments and questions are always more than welcome. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you all again very soon.